Well, hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to the stream, and another chapter working on this guy right there. That is our Audi R8 Spyder by Revell. We'll run the intro and we'll get started. Okay guys, we're back and we're going to continue on the build, and as you can tell, I've got the body here in the color that it's going to wind up being. It's right there, it's white, yay, white. Okay, so really all I did was I used my trim-clad primer. Yes, I know. Is it trim-clad? No, not trim-clad, Rust-Oleum 2X white primer. Used that, that's all I did. Gave it a nice couple, I gave it 2 coats of that, and then I let that cure for about 3 days, and I gave it a little bit of a sanding, just like 10,000 grit sand, just to get any kind of little goobers that may have appeared on it. And then I put some Tamiya TS13 clear on it. I did 2 or 3 coats of that, and now that's cured for a day or 3, something like that, day or 2 anyway. So I need to do some polishing on that, but that's not what we're doing today. We're not doing any polishing on the body. I'll do that later on, because we're not there yet, right? Our chassis looks, to me, it looks like it's almost ready to be installed, but we've got interior stuff to do. And as you can see by this light brownish beige colored parts on my desk here, we've got some interior that's been painted. So we need to do some assembly, and today basically I'm going to bring you guys along with me as I do the detail painting on the interior. Normally I don't bring you guys along on these little journeys when I'm doing all the detail painting, because it is kind of tedious and it takes time. But I figured for this particular build I'll bring you guys along with me, and you can see all the details of how I do all the painting for the interior. Okay, so let's change the camera and let's have a look at our parts. Okay. Alright, okay, so here we are. Our seats are here, they're done, they're painted, they're good. Okay, we got our 2 door panels, those are good. We got our interior bucket, that's all painted up. As you can tell, I didn't quite do under the seats because I don't really care so much about that, because they're never going to be seen. But there you go, that's our interior bucket. And then we have our dash. Okay, so the dash, I did do the black paint on there, let's focus in on there, and I put the decals in for the gauges, but I need to do something about those gauges because they don't look all that great. When you get the light on them, they don't look too shiny, do they? They look kind of weird. So we need to fix that. How am I going to fix that? Well, I'm going to take a little bit of the Tamiya's X22 clear, okay, and I'm going to put that on our gauges. And I'm going to put it on nice and thick, and then I'm going to leave it. Okay, I'm going to do that. But first of all, we need to do some black painting around in here and then these on our vents and stuff like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to get started with. Okay, so we're going to use Mr. Hobbies or Mr. Color, Mr. Surfacer 1500 black. That's going to be our black that we use. Okay. I'm going to bring up my reference picture I have of the car's interior, just so that I can see exactly what I'm supposed to paint and what I'm not, what's supposed to be black, and you know, all that kind of fun stuff. What's supposed to be black, what's supposed to be silver, you know what I mean. I am going to be trying out my brand new brush that I picked up. It's God Hand paintbrush. I bought this in Korea. Nice little detail brush. We're going to try this. There's our tip. Okay, we're going to try that for detail. But for these bigger areas here, I don't have to really worry about that, so I don't need to use such a fancy brush for that. I'm just going to put this back in there. We're just going to leave that for now. We'll bring that out in a little bit. For this other stuff, I can use something a little more, you know, a little more bigger, I guess you could say. And First of all, I see I've got a little bit of detail I need to do in here, touch up with our black on the edge of this. I'm going to have to touch that up with the brown, with the beige again. This is where I just didn't quite get when I did the original paint on here. Alright, so our little vent on the side here, we got to do this. They didn't really do a very good job of doing the actual mold on this and being able to see the little black surround on the vent. You gotta get in on every little one of these little grooves. I've got to turn down my music because I think I'm going to get demonetized if I keep it at this volume. So let's turn that down a little bit. And I'm going to take my glasses off so I can see here. Now, if I do happen to go outside my lines and I don't really paint very straight, I can always touch up with some of the brown, and I can touch that up and fix that up later. So it's not a big deal if I go outside the lines. And that's kind of nice. Especially with this paint, it tends to dry fairly quickly, and so what happens is it starts to get clogged up on your brush. And you can see I can like pull this out because it's starting to dry. So I'm going to try something a little different, something I don't normally do with this. I'm going to do something, I want this to stay nice and thin and liquidy for a good long time while I'm doing this. So we're going to try something different. We're going to pour a little bit into a jar, and I'm going to use a bit of Mr. Hobby's leveling thinner. You might wonder why that stuff. Because that stuff has a retarder in it so that the paint dries slower. So I'm going to pour some in here. Okay, that's way more than enough. Way more than what I need. But that's okay. It's better to have more than you need than to not have enough. That is for sure. What's that saying? Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it? Yeah. Something like that. Okay. So, I'm going to use my pipette and go 50-50. Thin it out a little bit while we're at it. Why not, right? Now, in theory, this will help it to... Not only is it going to flow a little bit easier, but it should dry a little less quickly and be less prone to clogging up on my brush while I'm trying to just get a little bit more. Let's go in on this side here, starting in that little corner and work my way out. If my head's in the way, I apologize, but I need to see what I'm doing, so I kind of gotta get at my angles here and get in, and so I can see what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Which is another reason why I don't normally include this part of the builds in my videos. I need to see if, yeah, so we do have to maintain the color of that. If I do mess up and I've got to touch up later, it is a little bit harder to cover over black, that's for sure, but a few coats and you'll be back where you started, and that'll be good. Because this is fairly thin now, it flows nicely into all the little cracks and crevices. It's almost like a black wash now, like Tamiya's panel liner or something like that. Very similar. I'd say just a little bit thicker than Tamiya's panel liner. This is the consistency I've got going on right now. And we've got our little display here. I'm surprised it didn't include some kind of a decal for the entertainment system on the dash. You know, usually they have some kind of a decal with, like, you know, I would imagine like maybe the Audi logo or something like that, or whatever the, you know, the startup screen when you first get in the car and turn it on, it would be displayed on the dash right there, right? I'm surprised they didn't include that. Now this heater vent does have a nice detail surround on it, so we can get in that crack, in that crevice, and do the detail in this one really nicely. As long as I've got a steady hand and I don't go outside my borders, I should be okay. This around, get the bottom of that there. There we go. Okay, once this dries a little bit, I'll go in with another coat on top of that just to make sure. Because I've thinned the paint out so much, it's not covering the beige 100%, so we're just going to make sure. And of course this is all supposed to be a flat black. There shouldn't be any gloss on this at all, so I'm probably going to have to come in afterwards and do a little touch up with maybe some flat clear and fix that up. Okay, now I know from my reference photo the handle to open the glove blocks is black also. Let me just take a look at it here in the photo. Yep, it's totally black. Okay. Totally black there, yep. This whole little indent here is black. Okay, I didn't do the greatest job on that, but we can touch that up later. Okay, and then we have a little emblem that goes on there, but we can't see. I can't see in the picture what the emblem is, and of course it looks like it's just chrome. It's just chrome, so I don't have to paint that. And I don't know if any of our vents or anything up here are black, but I would imagine since this is all black, that's probably going to be black too. I'm going to do a quick little Google search and see if I can find a picture. Okay, so from what I can tell, the dash is going to be that big vent up there is going to be black. So we're going to paint that black. Alright, we're going to get in here and paint this whole thing black in here. From what I can tell in photos online, this is all black up here. And obviously they've got stuff going on here, like some kind of sensors, probably like automatic headlight sensors and whatever, maybe whatever sensors they've got going up in there. And that's obviously a big panel they have there. And obviously if you're doing a black interior, this would not be an issue for you, but because I'm doing beige, I want to do it accurate, so I want to make sure it's correct. So once again, because this paint is now really thin, it doesn't cover perfectly, so I'll have to do another coat on that. But that's what we got so far in our dash. Okay, now we've got to do some details on our door panels that are black and on our center bucket. So I'm going to bring up my reference photo for my door panels so I can see what I need to paint. So it looks like, particularly on the passenger side, it's got a little black panel down in here, and we've got black in this panel here too. So there we go. So this panel here, of course my paint is really thin, so it wants to bleed into the flatness of my beige. So I need to be really careful on how I do this. In fact, I'm going to get this. For this part, because I don't want my black bleeding into the surrounding beige like it kind of did. I wanted to creep up the panel, and well, we don't want that. That's not what we're going for here. This black goes all the way through underneath the door handle here and then comes out. They don't have it molded, so I'm really just kind of guessing at the limitations and the borders for this. And that's kind of how it goes, like that. So then we have this guy up here. This one I can use the thin to get in there, kind of do a little bit of a mix. Our handle is going to be chrome, but the surround all the way around it is not. So the surround on the handle is black. Okay, so that's door number one. I have to do the chrome on the door handle on the release, but that'll be it for that one. For our driver's door, we got the same thing going on. Same little patch here. It's very vaguely detailed on here. You got to catch it in the right light to see the border. Okay, that's that panel. And then we'll go to this door handle. If I could get it to do the capillary action and just go around the crack of that, that would be great, but it's not quite thin enough to do that too much. Like I said, I've got it almost as thin as Tamiya's extra thin, or Tamiya's panel liner, but not quite. Okay, now that one's done, so we got to do the chrome on that later. Alrighty. So next, our bucket. We have our little gauges here in the middle. That panel is going to be black, and the surround here on the shifter, that's going to be black. So our gauge cluster, this is going to be black here. I'm going to get in there. Probably would have been better to paint the gauges before putting them in here and then come in later, you know, and then install them. Paint them first and then install them, but you know, I didn't know at the time. It doesn't really matter, it's not the end of the world. That's what tiny paintbrushes are for, right? Of course, getting in there, I have to turn this upside down to get at it. Our knobs, get some black on them, and it looks like this goes all the way back and is black in here. All the way back. There we go. So I'm going to close up my paint here because I don't want this to coagulate. Now, we've got our shifter. Obviously, it's like a big circle, so this is all going to be black in here. The shifter itself is chrome with a little black strip in the middle of it. We have this circle is going to be black, but then the surround on it is going to be chrome, if that makes sense. Okay, so we'll do the little black strip in the center of the knob now. That way all I've got to do is just put a little touch of chrome on it. Now, our emergency handle, the grip is black. And then it's got a little chrome knob on the tip. So there we go, that's black. And it looks like we got a little button here that's supposed to be black. And that would be about it for that. So, like I had mentioned, I need to kind of do another coat on this. So, now that it's been a few minutes, we can get in here and do another coat. and make sure the black is black. So we want the black to be black. The black really shouldn't have any hints of beige on it. There we go. And then this guy over here needs some more. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I think that's pretty decent. Anything I need to touch up here before I switch? I don't think so. Okay, that's going to be it for the blacks. So I'm just going to put this aside so I don't accidentally do it. Now clean my brush. Clean my brush and get the black off of it. And you see, that's an unfortunate thing. You don't want to be doing that with your brushes. I just might have to, it might be okay. I might glue that on later because, well, no, it's okay. It's holding. It's holding, guys. It's all right. I guess I just pulled on it a little too hard. Okay. So with that done, like I mentioned earlier, I want to do some X22 clear on my gauges. And I want to do it, I want to shake this up a little bit here. Got a little ball bearing in this. Even though it's clear, you still need to shake it, okay? You still need to shake it even if it's clear. And unfortunately, shaking it like that, it does create a whole bunch of bubbles in the jar, and you don't want those. So I'm just going to paint it from the lid here. I am going to do it thick. If I have to do 2 coats, 3 coats, that's fine. But I want it thick on here. Okay? I want it to dry nice and glossy. And well, and clear and shiny. Now, a lot of guys, they like to use something like maybe UV glue, clear UV glue. To do this kind of stuff, and it gives the illusion of lenses because it dries thick. This isn't going to give the illusion of lenses, but it's going to give it a nice shine. I'll show you here. If I get this up in there, you can see that looks a little bit better when I get it in. It looks nice and glossy. It looks like it could be lenses, it could be glass, something. It looks a lot better than it did. And I kind of want to do that on the screen too, to show that there's a screen there. Even if we don't have any kind of a display, I want the screen to show. When you look at the interior, you can see there's a screen there. So I want that to be gloss, and that'll stand out a little bit. Okay, just set that like that. And I'll clean the clear off my brush. And we'll move on to the chrome. Oh, something I didn't realize. We do have controls on our seats, and those are usually black. That little panel in there is probably going to be black. So I really should get in there with some black too. So maybe I'll do that before we move on to the chrome. At the same time though, I don't think those controls are going to be seen. Once we get the door panels installed on here, if I put that door panel in there like this, that's going to go like that, and then this seat is going to go in like this. Well, actually I should put that seat in first. Put the seat in first. It's going to go like this. And you can see the controls there. They're right there. But once I put this door panel on, those controls are totally no longer seen at all. So I'm not going to bother painting them. There's no point. There's no point in painting those controls. You're never going to see them. So scratch that idea. Okay. So that's that. Let's move on to some chrome. What am I going to use for chrome? Well, I've got all kinds of different options. Because this is going to be in the interior, we're not going to be touching it. We don't have to worry about the chrome being, you know, fragile or anything like that. So I'm going to use some Molotow chrome. I'm going to use the Molotow liquid chrome. This stuff works really great, and it looks like real chrome, and it's really fantastic. But of course, it is fragile, and if you happen to touch it even weeks later, you happen to touch the chrome, it turns it into just a silvery color. So what I do is I'll just pull it right out of my little thing here, and I'll just put it onto my brush. Like that. And that's good enough. So, I'm going to look at my reference photos. I've got my little knobs on here. The top of our shifter knob is chrome, so we're going to do that. The Molotow likes to go on thick, so if you're not putting it on thick, it's going to look silver. So you actually have to put it on almost to the point where you think it might run. But it's thick, so it doesn't run. It just acts nice and behaves nicely. But you can get to a point where it will be too much and it'll run on you. So it will run, it takes a lot to make it run, that's all. So I do my shifter knob. I know my emergency brake or parking brake handle knob, that's got a little chrome knob on it that needs a little love there. And then we've got our little knobs here. These guys need to be chrome. There we go. So we've got some chrome detail there in the center. Now we've got the little surround. That thing needs to be chrome. The part around the shifter selector, the gear selector. So try to be careful. It's got to go all the way around, and it's got to look like chrome. Now if I was just painting this with silver, it'd be a little bit easier because you can be delicate, you can put it on lightly. I'm going to have to come in later and touch up the black. That looks pretty good. Yep, that looks pretty good. And that'll dry and that'll be alright, but we're not touching it, right? So we're not going to touch it, so it's going to be fine. Okay. Now we've got a little bit of detail on the dash. It looks like a couple of knobs, or at least one knob in the center here. The rest of them look like they're all black, so we don't have to worry about that at all. And then of course we got our little emblem here on the dash, which on the kit is literally just a little rectangle and nothing, just no detail at all. But that's all we got. That's all we need. Okay, door panels. We've got our actual door handles that need to be painted chrome. Like this. Okay. And then This guy, as you can see, this chrome really goes a long ways on the brush, right? And there we go. There's our chrome door handles with the black surround, just like in my photos, which you can't see because I'm looking at it myself. Steering wheel, it looks like, so I've got our steering wheel here, and I got the Audi emblem on the steering wheel, but it looks like we've got some chrome detail that goes around on the steering wheel. It actually looks more like a, it doesn't look like chrome. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the chrome in there, and then I'll paint the black, because the chrome is just supposed to be kind of an outline. But being what it is, it's just a little detail in there. So I'm going to do it like, I'm going to use the chrome like a panel liner. I'm going to go in there, I'm purposely going way too much on it. But we're going to clean up the detail on that later. Alright, so that looks really ugly and messy, and it doesn't look good at all. But we're going to clean that up. And when it's cleaned up, it'll look good. Okay. That is about it for the chrome. So let's clean my brush up. So the chrome on the steering wheel, the details there, is kind of the opposite of the door handles, where you've got this big chrome thing in the middle and the black surrounding it. We're going to be doing black in the middle, but chrome surrounding it in the indents, in the recesses. So I'm going to take my Q-tip and I'm going to clean some of the excess chrome out of here so that I can paint over it with the black. In fact, I could probably just take the Q-tip and rub it off. I could probably just rub it out. Just rub one out and it'd probably be fine. Let's just try that. Because Molotow being the way it is, it does rub off pretty easy. The strategy didn't work perfectly on the bottom section. The rest of it worked fine. Did good. I just need to touch it up with the black. So I'm going to use some Tamiya's XF1 flat black, okay? Because the steering wheel is supposed to be flat black. So I have this thinned out because the Tamiya XF1 tends to be pretty thick. So we're going to try this and see if we can clean up this. I don't have a lot left in here. Let's see if we can clean up our outside here a little bit and make it a little more black. I have to kind of go around the whole steering wheel because that chrome kind of smeared everywhere. And made the once flat black steering wheel kind of look sort of like a gray. So I got to touch it up everywhere now. Okay. Touched up, and we look okay. I don't know if it's the best steering wheel I've ever done, but it's not bad. It does the job, right? In fact, I can guarantee it's not the best steering wheel I've ever done. While I've got this, I'm going to touch up our little shifter here, I think. It actually looks pretty good. There's not really anything to touch up. It looks good. She looks good enough. In fact, the little knobs on here are actually supposed to have little chrome surrounds on them. So if I can, I'm actually going to use a different brush. I'm going to use my new brush, and I'm going to try and make those knobs have the little. They're just supposed to be like a black knob, but they have chrome ring on them, and not just be a completely chrome knob. That is the challenge for me today, is to turn that chrome knob into a knob with a chrome ring. Let's see. This is still nice and thin-ish. Let's see if I can just go doink, doink, doink on those knobs. Looks pretty good. Let's try this guy. Yeah, looks pretty good. Success. Better than the steering wheel, that's for sure. Okay, all the painting is done. All that painting is finished. So, clean up the brush, and let's start getting this thing put together. Alrighty. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get our steering wheel, which looks like garbage. I hate Tamiya's flat black. I really do. I need to repaint the steering wheel because the Tamiya flat black just sucks. Okay? It just sucks. So I need to redo that. Before we do anything else, I'm fixing this. Tamiya flat black just does not cut the mustard. Which is why, when it comes to flat black, I'd rather use Mr. Surfacer, because it covers, it stays black. You don't have to worry about it. It's going to do its job. It does what you expect it to do. It does what it was designed to do. It's just a better product. I don't know why Tamiya's flat black does what it does, but it never really cooperates for me. As much as I try to get it to. Gotta get up on the top here. Okay, let's get down on the back here. Already it's looking better than it did. course, when you brush paint the Mr. Surfacer, it kind of has a semi-gloss to it. When you spray paint it, it's totally flat. So I've got like a semi-gloss going on the bottom of it, but I got totally flat on the top. So it's kind of a neat little visual it's got going on. That's how it looks now. Okay. It's a lot better than it did. It's a lot better than it did look. Once again, clean up my brush. Yet again. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is glue our steering wheel into our dash. We'll get that glued in. That's step number 1. And then we'll put our seats in. Okay. 2 big holes for 2 big pegs. Let's get this guy glued in here. Just like that. I'm going to glue it in from the back. Actually, before I do that, let's just take this off. I'm going to put some glue down on here. There we go. Just like that, and I'll add a little more. There's no way you're getting the steering wheel crooked on this. It only goes in one way. It's a big fat thing that goes in, and you get your things lined up, and you're done. Your steering wheel is in, just like that. Okay? Just like that. So that's done. That is ready, or it will be ready soon. We're going to start with the seats. Seats got to go in. You can do this. Put him in like this. I just haven't decided whether I'm going to put some glue on him first or what. Or if I'm just going to glue it like that. I think I'm going to put a little glue down on the bottom here on the rails where those pegs go in. Well, let's put them on the pegs. Why not? Okay. And then once this is in, get the seat all the way back, and then we'll put some glue on there. And on there. Alright. That is driver's seat installed. Just like that. Okay. Driver's seat's in. I don't need my photo up anymore. There we go. Just like that. Okay. I love these bots that use my Twitch channel as advertisements. So that's down. Glue on that peg and glue in there. There we go. There's our 2 seats in. Now, I did do a bit of a test fit, and kind of what I need to do is put one door panel in, then put the dash on, because the dash has these 2 pegs, and those 2 pegs go into these holes in the door panels. So if I put both door panels in at once, put them both in, I can't get the dash in. So I kind of have to do this and put the dash in on one side, put this in, and then I put the other door panel on. So we're going to put that on and glue that peg in there. Okay. And now we can put this on this side. Oh, you know what? Before we do anything, I am forgetting something very important. Let's put this down. Let's actually take that apart. And we're going to put this down because I'm forgetting a very important step, and that would be the pedals. We have pedals to put in. And they are on a sprue. There's pedals that are on a sprue. Where are they? They're over here. Pedals right there. So let's grab a paintbrush because I got to paint them black first. Pedals got to be painted black first. This is now getting dry enough that it's thickening, so I can do this and get this painted. There's not a lot of this that's going to be seen because, well, yeah, dashboard and everything covers it all up. But for the sake of detail, I want to paint it all. I don't want any white showing, that's for sure. Okay. The pedal assembly is going to go onto this little tab that's right there, but we got to do a little bit of detail on that first. Now that that is black, I saw in some reference photos the pedals are actually, they're not chrome, but they're silver with black inserts, you could say. So, we're going to take some X11 chrome and I'm going to dry brush it over the pedals. That, take this, get some paint on there, and dry brush. Just like that. And do the same over this. And there's our pedals. Okay. What is this, the 6th time that I've cleaned my brush tonight now? 6th time in an hour? It hasn't quite been an hour, but it's pretty close, isn't it? Which means I'm almost running out of time. We're going to get this assembled and then we'll call it a day. Okay? So once we get this assembled, we'll have to let it all dry and cure and stuff like that. So our pedals, they got to go in right here. I'm going to drop down in right there. Sort of, kind of, like that. Just like that. That's where they're going to go. Just like that. That's how your pedals go in. Now, like I said before, the dash is going to cover them. The dash is going to come down over like this. And guess what? It's pretty much like hidden, right? Only certain angles. And that's with the door off, right? So, yeah, even if I didn't put them in, it would have been like not really the end of the world. But of course, it's detail, and I like the detail, you know. What's the logo on my channel? Fantasy comes alive in the details. So there we go. Pedals are installed. Now we can go back to putting the door panel on and our dash and get this again. Get some glue on there. I am noticing a couple of little spots of the beige I'm going to have to touch up, but that's alright. We can do that after it's all assembled because it is just on the top here. So we've got this one tab here on the bottom of the dash that's going to go into our center console. At the same time our door panel's going on. So let's get that all lined up and installed just like this. Okay. And while we're doing that, we're going to put some glue on around our door here, so it's going to help stay. So it will stay on now. Our dash is just kind of floating there. We're going to put some glue here. And some more glue around our door. And now we'll put our other door panel on. Get that lined up on the dash. There we go. Door panel is almost in. there. There we go. Okay, everything's lined up. We can apply our glue. Oh, that felt good. Did it really? Well, not really, no, but it revealed the fact that it wasn't lined up, and that way it kind of clicked into place, and now it is lined up and everything is happy where it belongs. There's our interior bucket. Just like that. Everything's in place. She's ready. Well, not ready, because we got to let this glue dry. Okay? We got to let that all dry. Let that dry, let the glue do its thing, and there you go. Voila. And that, guys, is the detail painting of our interior bucket. Well, in detail painting and installation and our assembly of our interior. So, like I've said to you guys before, I don't normally bring you guys along with my detail painting, but today I decided to do it. So here we are. So with that, I want to thank you for joining me. And if you've actually watched this whole thing, thank you so much. You know, my analytics tell me that my average watch time is only like 5 minutes, so I really appreciate it. You guys who actually watch a lot and watch my videos, I really appreciate you guys watching the whole things. It really helps out the channel. It helps the whole YouTube analytics thing and all those algorithms and blah blah blah. It really does help me out. It also helps out if you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. That would be really awesome too. I really appreciate that. Anyway, guys, down in the description box below, of course, as I say many times before, is my links to my other things like my Twitch channel and my Instagram. Instagram, I of course take pictures and I upload everything once I'm all finished, and I post them up on my Instagram, so you can check those out too if you feel like it. I want to thank you guys again for watching, and thanks for joining me, and we'll see you all in the next one.